Hey, Cowboys Nation. Welcome to your ultimate destination for all things Dallas Cowboys. From the latest news, game analyses, rumors, to deep dives into player performances and strategies, we've got you covered. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a play. Let's dive into everything you need to know about America's team. The Dallas Cowboys have been quietly shaking the foundations of the NFL, and the epicenter of this storm seems to revolve around one name that has been whispered in locker rooms, social media feeds, and among front office insiders: Chris Jones. Ever since the team reportedly finalized a massive contract extension for the defensive lineman, speculation has run wild about what this could mean for the Cowboys' defensive identity, their locker room dynamics, and even the trajectory of the team in the coming seasons. Insiders suggest that Jones is not just another piece of the puzzle, but rather the linchpin around which Dallas plans to rebuild its defensive philosophy. Analysts argue that with his combination of size, speed, and uncanny instinct for reading quarterbacks, Chris Jones could single-handedly redefine the Cowboys' front line. Rumors have emerged that his presence is already influencing draft strategies, free agency plans, and even coaching decisions. Some sources hint at heated discussions behind closed doors regarding how to best utilize Jones' unique skill set, balancing the need for pass rush dominance with run defense reliability. Fans have taken to online forums to speculate endlessly, with some claiming they have insider knowledge of how his contract fundamentally shifts the power dynamics in Dallas locker room, while others debate whether this move signals a win-now mentality or a long-term dynasty-building strategy that few teams could replicate. While the announcement of Chris Jones' contract caused shockwaves throughout the league, the immediate effect seems to be psychological as much as it is tactical. Rumors suggest that opposing teams are already recalculating their offensive schemes, knowing that the Cowboys now possess a defensive weapon capable of altering the momentum of games in ways previously unimaginable. Analysts have been speculating whether Jones' influence goes beyond the field, suggesting that his leadership qualities might be the invisible hand guiding younger defenders and transforming the Cowboys' defensive culture into one of relentless pressure and discipline. Some insiders hint at tensions bubbling under the surface, as other defensive stars may now feel the need to prove themselves alongside someone whose contract alone commands respect and attention. There are murmurs that certain free agents are reconsidering their options, wondering whether joining the Cowboys now makes more sense in a team where a dominant defensive lineman sets the tone and dictates the standard. Social media is ablaze with debates, with fan theories suggesting that Jones' arrival at this contractual magnitude could trigger a ripple effect, influencing not just game strategies, but also ticket sales, merchandise popularity, and even broadcast ratings. Every hint, gesture, and interview now feels scrutinized for clues about how the locker room hierarchy might evolve, and whether Chris Jones will embrace the role of leader, mentor, or silent enforcer. Sources close to the team have been fueling speculation that Chris Jones is not only transforming the defensive line, but also subtly shaping the identity of the Cowboys as a franchise. While official statements remain polished and measured, insiders hint that the locker room dynamic has already shifted, with Jones' presence commanding a level of respect that borders on reverence. Analysts speculate that this influence could be critical in high-pressure situations, where leadership often outweighs raw talent. Conversations behind closed doors, according to rumored sources, suggest that coaches are exploring new schemes to maximize Jones' impact, perhaps even designing plays around his abilities rather than forcing him into pre-existing structures. Some whispers suggest that his massive contract could create tension if not managed carefully, as other veterans may feel undervalued or questioned in their contributions. Yet, at the same time, there are voices claiming that Jones' dedication and work ethic are so intense that he inspires rather than intimidates, setting a tone of accountability that permeates the entire defensive unit. Fans have latched onto this narrative, speculating endlessly about how his influence might extend beyond game day, perhaps affecting the team's approach to off-season training, player development, and even future draft selections. The broader NFL landscape seems equally fascinated and perhaps unnerved by the Cowboys' recent moves. Rumors suggest that rival executives are scrambling to respond, not only in terms of personnel, but also in considering the psychological impact of having Chris Jones anchored in Dallas. There is speculation that opposing quarterbacks now spend more time studying his tendencies, which could inadvertently benefit other defenders as offensive schemes overcompensate for one dominant lineman. Some insiders have suggested that this contract signals a shift in the league itself, as teams might increasingly prioritize transformational players over a balanced but less spectacular roster. Analysts argue that the Cowboys may be betting on Jones' ability to influence games single-handedly, and while this strategy carries risk, it could also redefine how elite defensive talent is valued and deployed. Fan theories abound, some suggesting that this could be the beginning of a defensive renaissance for Dallas, while others caution that high expectations may bring intense scrutiny if immediate results fail to materialize. Either way, speculation has taken on a life of its own, with sports media outlets already framing Jones as the centerpiece of not just a team, but a potential narrative that could dominate headlines for years. Rumors inside the team suggest that Chris Jones' signing has also triggered subtle shifts in coaching strategies, with Brian Schottenheimer and his defensive staff allegedly re-evaluating rotations, blitz packages, and even motivational tactics. Some speculate that the coaching staff might now build the defensive scheme around Jones, designing pressures and coverage adjustments that allow him to exploit his strengths while still keeping the defensive unit balanced. There are whispers that other players, seeing Jones' commitment and intensity, are adjusting their own approach to practice and games, perhaps raising the overall standard without even realizing it. Some sources hint that contract negotiations for other players are being influenced indirectly by Jones' deal, as the front office now has a benchmark for how elite defensive talent is compensated. Analysts debate whether this could lead to a chain reaction, with Dallas potentially attracting additional high-caliber defensive free agents who are eager to play alongside a dominant lineman whose reputation alone can intimidate opponents. Social media speculation is at an all-time high, with fans dissecting every tweet, interview, and highlight reel for signs of Jones' impact on team morale, cohesion, and even potential playoff aspirations. The ripple effect of Chris Jones' monstrous contract, according to insider speculation, may also extend beyond the field, influencing everything from sponsorship deals to team branding strategies. Some reports hint that the Cowboys' marketing department is already considering campaigns centered around Jones, emphasizing his dominance, leadership, and larger-than-life presence in Dallas. Analysts suggest that his impact could redefine how defensive players are perceived in the league, highlighting that elite defensive linemen can command attention, influence games, and even drive franchise narratives in ways traditionally reserved for quarterbacks and offensive stars. Rumors from unnamed sources claim that even internal discussions among league executives focus on Jones as a potential blueprint for future contracts, player development, and team-building strategies. Fans online are creating their own projections, speculating that his presence might be the spark for a defensive identity that becomes a defining feature of the Cowboys for years. While everything remains speculative, one thing is clear. Chris Jones' arrival in Dallas, backed by a monumental contract, is sending ripples through locker rooms, boardrooms, and fan communities alike, leaving everyone to wonder just how far his influence might reach. Speculation continues to swirl around the Cowboys' defensive line, and insiders suggest that Chris Jones' presence is already altering the way opponents plan their entire season. Some whispers indicate that quarterbacks and offensive coordinators are now obsessively studying his tendencies, trying to anticipate his every move, while others admit that his sheer reputation creates a psychological edge before the game even begins. Rumors claim that Jones' work ethic in practice is contagious, pushing younger defenders to elevate their own performance, while veteran players reportedly feel the pressure to match his intensity. Analysts debate whether this shift could make Dallas defense a model for other teams, where one dominant player effectively becomes the anchor around which everything else revolves. Social media speculation is rampant, with fans theorizing that Jones' influence might extend even beyond game strategy, possibly affecting team culture, media relations, and the way coaching decisions are communicated to players. Some insiders hint that internal meetings now revolve around maximizing his effectiveness, with playbooks potentially undergoing subtle but significant rewrites to ensure that his skill set is utilized at every possible opportunity. The narrative emerging is that Chris Jones is not just a defensive lineman with a massive contract, but a franchise-defining figure whose influence could reshape not only the Cowboys, but also the broader landscape of the NFL. Rumors suggest that the signing of Chris Jones has sparked quiet but intense discussions about leadership within the Cowboys locker room. Some insiders hint that while Jones is naturally dominant on the field, his role off the field is equally significant, as younger players reportedly look to him for guidance, motivation, and even conflict resolution. Analysts speculate that this influence could redefine what it means to be a leader in Dallas, blending raw talent with mentorship and emotional intelligence in ways rarely seen in the league. Some sources claim that other defensive stars are feeling both inspired and challenged, realizing that to maintain relevance, they may need to match Jones' commitment, focus, and intensity. Fans on social media are dissecting interviews, post-practice footage, and even subtle gestures, theorizing endlessly about whether the locker room dynamic has shifted permanently in Jones' favor. There are murmurs that this shift could also influence contract negotiations for other players, as the front office now has a tangible benchmark for elite defensive talent, potentially triggering a domino effect in salaries and player expectations. The speculation continues that Jones' influence is multifaceted, extending beyond tactics into psychology, leadership, and the overall ethos of the Cowboys franchise. But before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the Dallas Cowboys. Feel free to share your thoughts on the news in the comments as well. Sources close to the team suggest that Chris Jones' contract has implications for the way the Cowboys approach upcoming drafts and free agency moves. Rumors hint that scouts are being instructed to prioritize players who complement Jones' style, emphasizing agility, gap discipline, and complementary pass rushing skills. Some insiders claim that this approach could indicate a broader philosophical shift, where the front office is willing to build around one transcendent defensive talent rather than spreading resources evenly across multiple positions. Analysts speculate that rival teams may now need to adapt similarly, considering how to neutralize Jones while simultaneously adjusting their own roster construction strategies. Fans theorize that this could mark the beginning of a new era for Dallas, where elite defensive talent becomes a magnet for both free agents and young draft prospects seeking mentorship and exposure. Social media buzz suggests that Jones' arrival is already shaping the narrative of the Cowboys' future, with some predicting that the team may adopt an identity built around disruptive, aggressive defense led by one unmistakable star. The combination of strategic adjustments, psychological impact, and the sheer magnitude of his contract ensures that speculation will continue for months, if not years. Speculation also surrounds the broader NFL implications of Chris Jones' signing, with insiders suggesting that his massive contract might redefine how elite defensive players are valued across the league. Some analysts argue that this could trigger a shift in contract negotiations, as other teams now have a concrete example of how a game-changing defensive lineman can justify historic compensation. Rumors suggest that discussions in executive meetings in other franchises increasingly reference Jones as a benchmark, analyzing not only his on-field performance, but also his intangible leadership qualities. Fans on forums and social media are theorizing endlessly about how this could affect salary caps, trade strategies, and future draft priorities. Some insiders hint that the psychological impact is just as significant as the financial one, with opposing teams feeling pressure to prepare differently, knowing that a player of Jones' caliber can change a game with a single play. Analysts speculate that this signing might even influence coaching strategies league-wide, prompting defensive coordinators to reevaluate schemes and rotation patterns to maximize the impact of their own elite linemen. The narrative growing from all angles is that Chris Jones' presence in Dallas could represent a paradigm shift, not just for one team, but potentially for the way defensive talent is approached across the entire NFL. Rumors suggest that Chris Jones' impact may extend to media relations, sponsorship deals, and even the Cowboys' branding strategy. Some insiders hint that marketing campaigns are being quietly planned to capitalize on his image as a dominant defensive force and team leader, while analysts speculate that his high-profile presence could attract additional corporate partnerships. Fans theorize that merchandise sales may spike as a result of his signing, with Jones' popularity becoming a cultural as well as athletic phenomenon in Dallas. Some sources suggest that the front office may also use his influence to shape narratives around the team, promoting a defensive identity that appeals to both fans and media alike. Analysts debate whether this could become a trend in the league, where teams increasingly use elite defensive talent as a centerpiece for marketing, branding, and fan engagement. Rumors also suggest that Chris Jones' presence may affect the public perception of the Cowboys' overall competitiveness, potentially influencing ticket sales, broadcast ratings, and social media engagement. The speculation underscores that his impact is not limited to tackles, sacks, or pressures, but encompasses every dimension of what it means to be a transformative presence in a franchise. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Dallas Cowboys, please subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. We always look forward to your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.